Welcome back to Techvisa. This is episode number 22. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel for all the latest in Australian immigration news. It's been a while.
It has.
There's been a lot of exciting and important updates since we last caught up. So today, I'm keen to take a deep dive, see what's been happening in the world of immigration.
Sounds like a good plan, Zach.
Let's do it. Let's kick things off with something that's really close to our heart here at Techvisa, and that's the Subclass 482 visa program. There has been probably one of the more major changes I've seen happen to this program in a while, and that's the reduction in the work requirement from 2 years to 1 year. Now, this is going to have some positive repercussions to the program, as it's going to open it up to a huge talent pool. Because as you know, a lot of the consultations that we have with potential candidates, they just shy of that 2-year mark, but this is really going to open up the pool of candidates for the 482 visa program.
So from the 23rd of November 2024, the 482 skill requirement that all visa applicants must satisfy was requiring that you still have a degree plus 1 year of full-time work experience in the last 5, rather than the 2 that's currently it is at the moment. I think the degree is staying. Like, there was some murmur from industries, they're saying, it's basically 482 visa for all. I don't think that's the case. So we're still going on the proviso. It's got a degree qualification and then 12 months of at least full-time relevant experience. I think it would impact the migration planning as a whole, because currently there's what's known as a training visa program that is obviously used to enhance skills for people that have at least 12 months of highly relevant experience in the last 2 years. So basically, during COVID, because it was that COVID 4.8 visa, no one really utilized the training visa. Mm-hmm. People obviously had 1 or even 2 COVID visas and then transition onto the 482. So I think maybe slowly the department will phase out the training 407 visa. And then I think it's also tied quite well with the post-study work visa. So those that have studied a degree in Australia at a bachelor level or higher for 2 academic years can still be approved a 2 to 3 year post-study work visa. A lot of graduates struggled to get 2 years of highly relevant work experience in that 2-year period. So I think this will help Australian graduates transition from the post-study work visa, from their first job or second job, onto a 482 with a pathway towards permanent residency through the employer.
Okay, so the work experience requirement has been reduced from 2 years to 1 year. That's if you hold a formal qualification such as a bachelor degree.
Correct.
What if you don't? So let's use a software engineer as an example.
So, it's not set in concrete. No legislative instruments have been updated as yet to reflect those change, but I would presume that ANSCO is still going to be the source of truth. Whereas if you don't have a degree for a software engineer, you need to have 5 years of full-time relevant experience across your career in lieu of that formal qualification.
All right, moving on. Still sticking more or less with the skilled visa programs. Increase to the temporary skilled migration income threshold, also known as the TSMIT. So last financial year, we saw an increase to $70,000. This year, we're going to see an increase to $73,150. So give or take, in line with inflation. But something that sparks my interest here, and I'm keen to hear your thoughts, is in 2013, the temporary skilled migration income threshold was set at $53,900. And it did not change for 10 years. Up until last year, it was $53,900. It increased to $70,000, and now this year it's going to be $73,150. Moving forward, are we going to see this continually indexed with inflation?
I think the government obviously have realized that visa holders in Australia, where they're on a smaller income or against the old TSMIT at 53, there were a lot of exploitation of the migrant workforce, and Australian government felt like it was not reflective of the value that the migrant workforce provided. Thus, the major increase last year to 70,000. It could be a trend. We could be onto something, Zach. It could be one that they will review annually. It's interesting to see what that would look like and how these salary increases would further impact CPI going forward.
All right, and planning levels. So set at 184,700 for the next financial year. So that's one aspect of the planning levels I want to touch on. 71% allocated to skilled visas, 29% to family visas, with the bulk of those family visas allocated to partner visas.
Yes. We welcome the new planning level, and the department, have said that they want to move to multi-year planning levels going forward. I think this year might be the final year that we have just a 12-month kind of planning level. But I think that the government or the Department of Home Affairs have been quite sort of vague in their messaging, but they have really supported permanent residency pathways where an employer is involved. So the 186 visa program have been getting a lot of priority in a lot more places. The fact that they allowed short-term occupation 482 visa holders to have a pathway towards PR via the 186 transitional pathway also indicates that. So I think it's just the department anticipating there to be more applications in the pipeline pending decision, thus that drive the sort of allocations to 71% being to the skilled program. In there, we'll still include the 189, 190. Very interesting and highly anticipated to see what those states and territory quotas or allotted places would be. Yeah. The governments have told us it will be before mid-July. Hopefully, first week of July we'll know. Obviously, all the major states will get some. So let's see how we go there.
Now, you did touch on it very briefly, but we could see multi-year planning levels from the 2025 financial year moving forward. Now, we've heard murmurs of potentially locking in the planning levels for 3 or 4 years moving forward. Talk to me a little bit more about the benefits, like I guess what you're excited to see there, maybe the negative repercussions that could have, and just your general thoughts on what multi-year planning levels could look like moving forward.
Yeah, I think a lot of industry bodies have fed back to the department to say, look, when you do this annual planning, it's really hard for us to have an indication of what that means for us as an industry, even for tech professionals, where one of the key members of the Tech Council of Australia, even for them it's hard. We know jobs in tech are in need, or they're growing at this rate, but then if tech jobs were to increase by a certain amount, but the immigration intake was not going to match, it's going to be a bit of a challenge for those jobs to be filled by homegrown Australian sort of talent. But Australian government obviously wants to invest in graduates, but I think having multi-year means it would allow sort of professions or industries to kind of go, okay, this is what it looks like. Yeah. I mean, obviously we've been quite reactive because of COVID, and I think a single year planning during COVID has actually benefited the Australian government.
Another area that's also really close to heart, Em, is the Global Talent Program. We've harped on a lot about this, primarily because we haven't had many answers as to what is going to happen with this program. So we've heard it's going to change. We've heard it's going to be overhauled. We do have a little bit more information now. So we have a new name, so it's the National Innovation Visa. Yeah. What changes are we expecting? Anything to look forward to? Any major changes that we might need to be aware of? What are your thoughts here?
So, I mean, at Techvisa, I think because we're very niche in what we do and where we're placed in the market, we speak to a lot of founders or co-founders. That could be at uni, that could be through the VC programs. So for young graduates that are innovative, that are breaking markets, that are creating new products or services or software, there's not an entrepreneurial visa. So I think what the government basically announced at the budget is like they're going to roll the business innovative visa, which they're going to potentially cease, and the global talent visa into one, and call it the name that you've given before, the National Innovation Visa. Yep. What that is to look like, more information will be available, hopefully by the end of the year, and we can share with our followers and audience a bit more. But we feel that it would be beneficial for that to happen. We have consulted the Tech Council of Australia to kind of pick up or pick the benefits or pick the positive aspects of the Global Talent Program that could really effectively work well to allow the government to basically better pick and streamline the talent that we need.
You briefly touched on this before as well, but the Business Innovation Investment Visa, over?
Well, each state and territory have not accepted any invites or processed anything for the last financial year that we're in right now, ending this month. Yeah,
the allocation numbers were 0.
Yeah, so the government basically kind of said, we're going to go back to the drawing boards. I'm not sure what we're going to do yet. Yeah. We're not going to process anymore. So there were a whole lot of people in limbo, or they might have lodged an expression of interest for the Business Innovation Investment Program and have not heard anything. What worried me a little bit was seeing the budget line that says, refunds will be available sort of from September for those that have pending applications. And then straight away in my head, what about people who don't want to withdraw? So I'm hoping that the department will give us a bit more in the new financial year, or sort of before the end of the year, to see what that program will look like, basically. It's all welcome changes so far. I think this year, the Labor government, and hopefully, more positive updates to come.
Yeah, exciting times ahead. So if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with our team. But thanks for tuning in to another episode of Techvisa. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Until next time, cheers.